Hey everyone, welcome to the new quick tip tutorial. This time I want to make a futuristic office setting like this. We'll only be making the chair and the table, and I want to show you how you can easily use just the planes to create quick furniture like this. So without further ado, let's get to it. If you're new to the channel and you like to see content like this in the future, please hit that subscribe button and the bell button so you get notified when I release something new. And if you find these quick tip tutorials a little bit too advanced for you and you want more in-depth explanation of what I do and my thought process behind what I'm making, you can go ahead and check out my polygonrunway.com website. You can find the link in the description, where I take you step by step from zero to hero in the shortest amount of time possible. So if you're interested, please go check it out. And now let's get to empty Blender scene and let's start modeling. The first thing we'll need to do is to add the plane. So let's press Shift A, choose mesh and add a plane, and now I will go into the edit mode, so tab in, press R then X to rotate on the X-axis and enter 90 degrees, and now we'll press G then Z and just enter 1 and confirm to move this up 1 meter, so now it sits on the origin point. And now we can just start extruding the table. So let's go to the edge select by pressing 2, select this top edge, press E then Y and extrude it like this. Okay, and now we'll do some bevels. So go back to the vertex select mode, select these two vertices, so by holding shift, left click the vertices, press Ctrl B and then V to enable vertex bevel and increase the number of segments with the mouse wheel. And let's do something like this. You can make it more dense if you want more smooth edges. Okay, I think this will do. And now go to the edge select, select this edge right here and press Ctrl B to bevel that and do a similar bevel there. So this will serve as a base for our table. Confirm with the left click and now select all by pressing A. And we'll press Alt E and choose extrude faces along normals. And that will enable extrusion like this. And be sure to press S additionally to enable even thickness. And let's do extrusion just like that. Okay, and now let's look from the side. Let's zoom in a little bit and I will enable X-ray view. So I will hold Z and toggle X-ray. If you don't have that option here, you can go to the preferences and enable extra pie menu options, or you can just go ahead and click this button right here for the X-ray. And now let's go to the vertex select, select only these vertices, press G then Y and move it like this, so we have some thickness there. And since we are using the n-gons anyway, we can just select these edges right here and press Ctrl X to dissolve them. We don't need these on the side there and here as well, so Ctrl X to dissolve. So this will serve as a base for our table. And now let's get to a chair, so tab out and I will hide this right now, so press H and now let's press Shift A and add a new plane. And for the chair, go to the edge select by pressing 2, select this front edge and let's do extrusion, so E, Z and extrude it up like this. Then we can go E, X and extrude it here and EZ once again. Okay, now we can control the angles a little bit more, so press G then X and move this towards the back a little bit, so there's a little bit of that slope. And you know, you can additionally select just the faces and move them up and down, so you get some nice shape. Maybe this is too far behind, so let's move it towards the front a little bit. And now we'll just select these edges here, press Ctrl B and bevel them like that. And now go to the vertex select, select these corner vertices, press Ctrl B and additionally V, don't forget that. And we can reduce the number of segments here and do small bevel like this. So this shape will serve as our chair. And now we can just select all, press Alt E and extrude faces along normals. Once again, don't forget to press S for even scaling and do extrusion like this. Okay, and now just select all, press S and Y. We can scale this down on Y axis a tiny bit. Okay, just like that. And now I want to duplicate an outline around the chair, so go to the face select, alt click here to select the loop all around the chair and press Shift D and just right click to release, and then P, enter to separate the selection. Now tab out and select this new object that we just separated. Go into the edit mode, select all, press Alt E and extrude along normals like this. And again, don't forget to enable even scaling, so this will serve as a nice ring around our chair. And now some cushions. So let's select the chair again, and we'll just select these faces right here. Press Shift D again, duplicate, and P, enter to separate. Now tab out, select these new objects, tab in, and here we won't be able to cut this yet because it's an n-gon. So let's go to the vertex select these two vertices by holding Shift and press J to connect them. And now we can just click here, Control click this vert here to select the loop, and press X and delete these vertices. And now we can press Ctrl R and create two cuts here, so increase the number of cuts with mouse wheel, and right click to release, and the same thing down here. Now go to the edge select by pressing 2, select this edge by holding Shift, select these other ones as well, press Ctrl B and do a bevel, but reduce the number of cuts to 1, so we are only beveling one segment like this. And after the bevel, when you confirm, you just press X and delete faces. So we have these small gaps there, and now we can select all, press Alt E and extrude along normals, and now press A to select all, S and Y, and scale this out a tiny bit like this. Okay, now tab out, and I will parent everything to the chair right here. So select everything and shift click the chair as last, Ctrl P and parent to object, so we can move it at once and move it somewhere here. Now we can press Alt H to unhide the table and scale the chair a little bit. So let's look from the side by pressing 3. What size would be fine? Something like this, I think, and we can make this longer. So toggle the X-ray again and select these vertices and drag them on the Y-axis like this. Okay, and now we can create a small lamp here. So shift right click to move the cursor there and add the plane again, scale down, and Ctrl B, then V to bevel, just like this. Select all and extrude. Now Shift S and cursor to select it again. Now let's press Shift A and add another plane. Now let's go into the edit mode by pressing Tab, G, then Y, and enter 1 minus. So we are on the origin point. And now let's scale this down. So S, then X, and scale this down like this. Select these two vertices. Let's look from the side by pressing 3 and just move it up like this. Press E, then Y, and extrude, and we can bevel the end again like before. Select all, Alt E and extrude along normals. Let's do it inside and press S for even scaling. And you know, we have a simple geometry ready in a matter of seconds, and you can see how easily you can create shapes by just extruding planes in different angles and then adding thickness to them by extruding along normals. The same way you can add a thickness using the solidify modifier, so whatever works for you better. And now to make this a little bit more smooth, we can add some bevels. So let's select the table, go into the modifiers tab, and let's add bevel. If you want to see this workflow more in detail, go ahead and check out my Boolean modifier quick tip tutorial, the one with the orbs. And now let's just set up the bevel modifier. So I will disable clamp overlap so we can actually see what thickness we are adding here. And let's increase the number of segments, and let's limit to angle, just like this. And now we can switch the emitter to arc and go to the shading, harden normals, go to the object data properties, and let's enable auto smooth here and increase to 180 degrees, right click and shade smooth. So this way we have nicely smoothed beveled object. And right now what we can do is basically add auto smoothing to every object in the scene here. So let's just select all by holding Shift like this, and by holding Alt you can enable auto smooth for every object you have selected, and by holding Alt and sliding here you can enable that 180 degree auto smooth, right click and shade smooth. So this doesn't look quite alright, but we don't have the bevel modifier there yet. And with all of these objects selected, we can shift click the table here and just press Ctrl L and link modifiers. And that will transfer the bevel modifier to all of our objects and make them similarly smooth. And since we enabled that auto smooth beforehand, it just works and it looks nice. And you can see how the bevel modifier adds this nice paneling here on the separated object. So I really like the result here. And now I want to modify the individual values of these bevel modifiers. So let's select the cushions here and make them, you know, more smooth. So I will increase the amount of the beveling here like this. Okay, I like that. And now I will hold Shift S, cursor to world origin, and add a plane and scale it up so we'll have some background. And actually I want to move this towards the middle a little bit more, so I will select all, control to select the background. Let's look from the top, switch to wireframe, and I will move this towards the middle a little bit more so we have it in the center of the scene. And now I will add another plane, tab in, scale it out, and bevel the corners. So Control B, then V, and bevel. Select all and extrude a tiny bit, so there will be like a floor panel here. And you know, for some visual interest, we can now tab out, press Alt D to duplicate, Shift Z, and you know, duplicate them, few around the scene. So we have that visual interest when we actually place the camera and render out our image. And now I will enable that auto smooth here as well by holding Alt and again transfer this bevel modifier, but here it will be too strong probably, so let me select those. First of all, I want to shade them smooth and reduce the amount on the bevel modifier, but I want to use Alt for that. Okay, something like this. And to add more visual interest into these objects, we can do some Boolean cuts and create some kind of panels. So Shift right click here and let's add a cube, tab in and press S then Z to scale it down. And we can go to the edge select, Control Alt click here to select these edges all around that loop, and let's bevel those like this. Let's look from the top, and I want to move this like this. So toggle the X-ray, select these vertices and move them along the Y-axis a little bit, then toggle the X-ray again. And I want to move everything a little bit further. Right click, shade smooth, and now shift click the table, and I will just press Control slash. And I've explained this operation in the tutorial I mentioned. So again, if you haven't watched it, go and check out the Boolean orbs quick tip tutorial. And now the only thing we have to do is to move this Boolean modifier above the bevel modifier, and for this object as well, because that Control slash command will create two objects for you. If the command doesn't work for you, that means you don't have the Bool Tool add-on active. So just go into the Preferences add-on, find it in the list and activate it. It's there, you don't need to download anything. So again, find the Bool Tool add-on. And now I will add one more here, just to add a little bit of the visual interest here. That paneling always looks nice with the sci-fi scenes like this. So I will create one more here, and again just move the Boolean above the bevel modifier, and for the other object as well, so we have that nice paneling there. Okay, I will now proceed as always to finish the scene, you know, maybe add some props and finish with the lighting. I will time-lapse this process so the video doesn't take too long. You can always like slow down the YouTube player if you want to watch it in detail. But before I go ahead, I will show you a little detail that I want to create. And that's the datapad device with the texture on it. I want to show you a quick method I use to create a display there. So let's just shift right click here and add a new plane. Let's scale this down a little bit, and S and Y to scale it on Y-axis as well. Now let's bevel the corners. So this is the same approach like before. And now if you have this, we can just enable auto smooth, and we can enter like 35 degrees, right click, shade smooth, And let's go to the material preview, and first of all let's go to the render properties and enable AO, screen space reflections, and maybe bloom, we'll see, and just to have a little bit better preview quality. And now go to the materials and create a display material, and let's give it some bluish color like this. And we need to scroll down all the way here to the settings and enable screen space refraction. And now go back to render settings, and under the screen space reflections enable refraction as well. And now you are able to set the transmission value in Eevee like this. It will refract. This is just for the preview purposes. I will render out the final image in cycles. I just wanted to show you how to do this. So let's enable transmission, and transmission roughness maybe to something like 0.5. So it's not visible here because it's on the white, but if you move it you can see it's actually refracting and you can see through it. And now I will add something like home screen texture, and you can download the texture for free on the Gumroad link I will provide in the description with the scene and every asset here. So let's press Shift A and let's add image as planes, and I will load up my texture real quick. So that's just this kind of texture right here, nothing too fancy. We can scale it down a little bit, and now I want to make this part of the display. So I will switch to the shading here, and I will delete this principled shader here, and I will add one emission shader. So this is the emission, one transparent shader, and we'll need a shader mix shader to mix it up. And I will use the information from the texture here to mix them, and connect emission shader and transparent shader, and that should be it. Now for this to work in Eevee, you will need to go and switch blend mode to alpha blend or alpha clip, but we have this interchanged, so we just need to switch this, and now it works. We have masked that emission shader using this texture right here. And now you can just ramp up the emission to something like 10, and you can move it inside your display, and that will create a really nice effect, even in Eevee and especially in cycles where you will have that ray tracing. And I will just now parent this to the datapad, so now you can just rotate it, place it around on the table, and it will look great on the final render. So that's for the datapad, and as I said, I will now proceed and finish the scene and see you on the other side. So that's the futuristic office scene for you. I basically just added some metallic materials. I imported the plant from the original space station scene. You can check out the time-lapse of that one if you're interested, and just use basic 3-point lighting and, you know, some metallic materials, so it's a little bit more presentable. I really hope you enjoyed this one, that you learned something. And again, if you're new to the channel and you'd like to see tutorials like this in the future, please hit that subscribe button and the bell button to get notified when I release something new. Thank you all for watching and have a wonderful day.